This video brings some mixed emotions. As a kid in the 1990s, I absolutely idolized GT bicycles, poring over their catalogs and staring at their bikes down at the local shop. LTS, Triple Triangle, Box Series, I still know all their terms from the time. GT is an iconic old-school brand, one of the first BMX companies ever. Gary Turner started GT by welding up a few BMX frames for his son Craig all the way back in 1972. The company grew and grew, and by the time I was a young kid in the mid-1990s, GT was one of the biggest bike brands. More interestingly, it was the coolest of the big bike brands. I can't think of another brand that enjoyed so much success both in BMX and in mountain biking. The BMX team was absolutely on point, with Dave Volker doing insane airs, Trevor Meyer shredding flatland, and Gary Ellis, the lumberjack, winning races. The mountain bike team was amazing, with the likes of Steve Peat, Mike King, and Eric Carter. And we can't forget to mention Hans Ray. But in 1996, Gary Turner died in a tragic motorcycle accident. In less than 5 more years, the company had already been through several private equity owners and even filed for bankruptcy. The brand found its second wind when the sports division of Durrell Industries bought GT in 2004. Durrell kept GT going, growing, and eventually, the brand was quite strong again. Then, Pawn bought the company in 2021. Yes, the same Pawn that owns both Santa Cruz Bikes, One-Up Components, and yes, Cannondale. In late 2024, with massive overstock in warehouses and a dreary time in the bike industry, Pawn decided it would end GT and the remaining inventory was sold, which brings us to this video.
Hello everyone, you've seen the title of this video, you know what it's all about, so let's get right into it. So I bought this bike myself from Jensen USA. Jensen USA did indeed sponsor this video, and I'm pretty excited because Jensen also has a massive inventory of GT bicycles. So I'm gonna try this thing out and see if one of the most discounted bikes at the moment is as good as it might have been a few years ago when it was brand new. To learn more about these GT models, I've got a link in the description down below. It takes you over to Jensen USA, and you can read about the pricing, the build spec, the geometry, all the important details for all the sizes and options. Anything you purchase from that link to Jensen USA, that'll also help support my channel. It's a big part of how we make all these videos happen. So with that, let's get into the boxes. Carbon fiber bike, sub $3,000. Cool. All right, let's just yoink. Oh, we should not yoink. Come on, Jeff, this isn't an e-bike. Oh, got it. I also bought a set of double down tires, max grip compound, because I like the grip and I like to not flat. This thing is totally cool. This is a pretty easy build too. I'm gonna go for a ride in a few minutes, and I might leave this thing bone stock just to see how it does before putting on my own personal parts. I should take the reflector off so it doesn't break and fall on the trail, i.e. become trash. Wear safety glasses. All right, new bike psych. This thing needs a proper break-in. Whoa, these bars are rolled back a bunch. Okay, I'm gonna do some boring setup and then we'll chat on the trail on the first ride.
So what is this bike? It's a modern trail bike. The GT Sensor Carbon Pro LE bike here originally had an MSRP of $5,750. It uses 29-inch wheels front and rear, has a 150mm travel RockShox Lyric Ultimate RC2 fork with the Charger 3 damper. A lot of words, but that means almost the fanciest of forks, as it has both high and low speed compression adjustments, though only 4 clicks of that high speed damping. The frame squeezes 140mm of travel out of a RockShox Super Deluxe Ultimate RC2T rear shock. Man, a lot of words.
First ride, GT Sensor. Oh, we didn't bottom out, nice.
Again, that's the fanciest of RockShox trail bike shocks with adjustable low and high speed compression, but worth noting the high speed compression only has 4 available clicks. I'm 5 foot 8 inches tall, so I chose the size medium.
Bottomed out that time. That's okay. I'm on the first ride on the GT Sensor. Gonna see how this absolutely bone stock bike does before I start making the inevitable upgrades.
Let's chat a few numbers. The size medium's 455 reach is about right for me, and size large has a proper 480mm reach. The sizes are bracketed and reached by 25mm across the range from small through extra large. The stock stack measurement is slightly high at 633mm, and spoiler alert, I ended up enjoying this bike even more when I added some higher rise bars to it. The chainstays are a fairly neutral 440mm across the size spectrum.
My number one complaint with this bike so far has been the long back end, 440mm. It's not huge, but there's an easy fix to bikes that have long back ends if you want to make them feel more playful, more fun, more enjoyable. You can go short stem and taller handlebar. Getting the handlebars a little bit higher up puts more leverage on the rear wheel. And I have some taller bars. I've got a pair of Raceface Era carbon handlebars. These are a 40 mil height, which is pretty good. I think I'll throw these on here. And then for a stem, I was hoping I could find something super short. I have a couple of 32 mils and they're just already installed on bikes. I found this 35 mil P&W component stem that just looks mint. As usual, I was totally wrong. This stem is my 32 mil length stem that's hanging out that I had. So perfect for this.
The head angle is a modern but lively 65 degrees, and the seat angle is a common 77 degrees. The rear suspension design is the popular Horse Link with carbon seat stays and aluminum chain stays.
I do like how there's something to push into with this bike. The suspension's decent.
Parts are primarily SRAM GX with code brakes, and we're finding WTB KOM rims aboard SRAM bargain bin rear hub.
Man, a $3,000 bike in 2025 is so much better than a $6,000 bike in 2015.
Now, the price is enticing, but what I'm most concerned about is this a good bike? I try not to play the dollars and cents game. I'm not often buying bikes. I generally live in a world of loaner and demo bikes. That said, I did buy this bike here, though I did get it at some discounted industry pricing.
Oh, did not hold it.
Anyhow, I'm a lifer. With so much time and personal energy involved in bikes, I have a pretty good collection of parts on hand. I'm not fazed at the idea of upgrading something to get my ideal experience, and to be frank, I kind of expect that I'll need to do some kind of work to any bike to get it to feel just right. The first few rides on the GT sensor, and it was trending well. I kept imagining I was my friend Phil Metz and tried to be like Phil, pulling for impossible jumps and leaving brakes out of the equation through the fastest bits of trail.
Oh, barely cleared it. I forgot to record my last go at this, so we're gonna record this go.
I tried my best to pull some Windmasters inspired wheelie lines.
My back brake actually faded right there, and it pulled a lot further back to the bar. That was one of the dumber manuals of 2025. That was super fun. All right, it's gonna be very slippery coming down there. But this is just so cool. Who thought of this?
I even did some brief hopping around in honor of Hans Ray.
Oh man, we got to do trials to get through it, and it's very wet. Oh!
But alas, I had to deal with some stuff.
Yes!
A water bottle boss stripped out immediately, and the threads in the other one didn't feel amazing.
I was just installing the water bottle cage using my 5 mil, because these are giant 5 mil headed. Stripped right out. So be very careful when using their water bottle boss bolts. Better yet, I recommend using some 4 mil head or even 3 mil head, because you can't tighten those very much. It's still annoying, and I'll share with all of you because that's what I do.
These bosses are simply rib nut inserts and can be fixed in one of two ways. The easiest is a helicoil kit, which is a simple and solid solution. Another fix is to drill out the affected rib nut and reinstall it with some stainless steel inserts. I did neither, but added some duct tape as I'm busy. A representative for GT explained that Cannondale dealers are able to help with warranty, so that was reassuring. With Pawn owning the brand, there should be some long-term backing there, and yes, GT claims a lifetime warranty on this bike. Another thing I had to deal with, I noticed right away the rear wheel's free hub engagement was super sloppy, something like 18 points of engagement.
So I'll move the microphone so you guys can see how many clicks the free wheel has. It's not many. All right, so we'll start with crank right here. That's only 16 points of engagement in this rear hub. That's not good. I'm gonna need to make a change there.
This isn't the worst ever, but when you juggle multiple bikes that have significantly better engagement, it does feel like a loss of control when you begin to pedal. This is something that an owner would absolutely adapt to, but a part-timer like me will notice immediately. The worst issue of all, I was out riding with Logan when my rear wheel spokes loosened to the point that the wheel felt floppier than a fresh New York pizza dough before it hits the oven. Yeah, I think the first upgrade is going to be a better wheel set. This is 16 point of engagement hub
which is already not known for being reliable, and then the spokes are just disintegrating.
Finger tight spokes.
Because they're gonna be finger tight. I feel like they were whisper tight. That's where you just look at it and you whisper tighten.
When I think of a bike's performance, I think of it responding to my inputs immediately and predictably. I have been getting much more accustomed to the SRAM code brakes, but I'll let Logan sum them up.
And I'll just go ahead and put my opinion out here. I hate these brakes. What codes?
They're codes, yeah.
They're on both bikes, terrible.
I do prefer the code brakes over the Maven, but still, I'd prefer even SLX brakes over these. I know they get a good review online, but my real life experience is significantly better with most Shimano brakes. Now that free hub can't actually be upgraded. Instead, you need a new hub, or more realistically, a whole new rear wheel. I decided to make the executive decision to just rebuild the bike with my personal stash of parts. I selected a Shimano XT group set as I simply love all those parts, especially the brakes. The XT drivetrain is fantastic, but I don't really have many complaints of the stock GX Eagle driveline. I had these Santa Cruz Reserve 30 HD carbon wheels on hand. They're much stiffer than the stock WTB-made KOM model rims, and the rear Industry 9 1.1 hub has a much better 90 points of engagement.
Here we go. This will be a bike again in just a moment.
As we look at the spec sheet and the bike leaned against a tree, the bike is pretty normal, perhaps perfect for an all-around trail bike.
This is a hard jump, too hard for me. I gotta get back on the trail and not all over the mountain.
So how does it ride? My first few rides were so good. I was inspired that a bike of this price point could be so darn capable. The GT's geometry is great for all-around trail riding. The suspension is enough to deal with me and my tendency to sample every little trail feature. I didn't mind the stock GX drivetrain or the stock dropper post, but unfortunately, those wheels are just not great. The frame is stiff enough that it then inspires riding that asks too much of those lightweight rims. For best experiences, definitely upgrade them hoops as soon as you can. This will also get you better hub engagement. Once I had the bike set up with some stout wheels, the rest of the frame's build finally started to shine. I learned the bike uses a universal derailleur hanger. GT saved money by skipping internal storage. The rear end felt surprisingly stiff, and the front end was also solid. Overall weight is absolutely competitive. Logan and I spent a day going back and forth between the GT sensor and a nearly twice the price Ibis Ripmo. Both bikes did great, but there were several instances where we even preferred the GT. I'll post that video soon, so subscribe and stay tuned. Now back to the verdict. Riding steep double black trails on the sensor was fun, but it feels like the bike really shines on blue through single black terrain. It's bomber enough that jump trails are fun and light enough that a full day out pedaling is enjoyable.
Climbing on this little thing feels pretty good. Feels about like an average mountain bike. Nothing crazy.
The frame is definitely a high-end product, and I can't really fault it. I found a few higher-end wheel set options available at Jensen USA for about $700, so I'll link to those down below. I'll also link to some Shimano brakes and the necessary adapter from Problem Solvers to fit that GX shifter to most Shimano levers. But, and this is my biggest holdup with the GT sensor, there are also some amazing deals to be had right now. There are even XT-equipped bikes available for less than an upgraded GT.
Oh, that's a stump.
Bikes from Orbea, Ibis, and if you don't mind SRAM brakes, the list gets a lot longer. At the end of the day, the frame is what you'll end up keeping and riding for the longest. Parts will certainly come and go. And I can say that the GT frame is one that will enable riders from a new generation to feature the same kind of performance that GT has always been known for.
Hi, sweetie, hi. Hi. My first ever high-end mountain bike was a closeout prior model year bike. I got a pretty good discount on that because it wasn't brand new, and I think it's a great way to get one of your first high-end bikes. The sensor had its minor issues. I was able to overcome them, and I've had a lot of fun riding this thing, so it's been great putting this whole video together. I've got a link to all the GT sensors available at Jensen down in the description below. Anything you purchase from that link at Jensen will help support me and my channel. Thanks in advance. Also, thanks to all of you for watching, of course, but thanks to Logan for helping film and also ride. Thanks to Riley for helping film and also edit. With that, we should probably go ride some more. It's been a fun couple months. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace and wheelies. Oi! Can I wheelie today?